Welcome back, everyone, to the Super Fun Pack Moviecast. Today, we're going to talk about what we do in the shadows.
We diddle.
We diddle? We diddle in the shadows?
Just ask me what we do in shadows.
We do a lot of naughty stuff. Naughty stuff.
The reason why we're holding him is because he's being a little brat right now and trying to eat every single cord that he can find.
Yeah, and all the lights are plugged in, so, you know.
He made me cry this morning. Tried to put him in bed.
Yeah.
Put him in this room, laid down. All I heard was... Scratch, scratch, scratch. Scratch, scratch. And I was like, fuck. Okay, I'll bring you and I'll put you in your cage. And I'm like, oh, let me sleep. So it got to the point where he was crying, I was crying, and no one was asleep. And it was 6:30 in the morning by that point. I've been trying to do this for 30 minutes, so I said, fuck it. So I did what any normal person would do, and I put away the laundry, did the dishes, cleaned, took a shower, did all that. And then he decided to shit on the poopy pad, on the floor, on the carpet, all over his own ass while I was brushing my teeth. When I was just about to take him for a walk.
Speaking of shit.
So that was my day.
I thought this movie was going to be shitty. But it was not.
So, context to this story. I did not know what this movie... This is the second time I've actually watched it. First time with Chris, though. But it was a few years ago. I think right before I moved to Boston, like 3 years ago. And, What?
No.
You turned like you were going to say something. My mom and I went to the Red Box.
Yeah.
And we found this movie. And I was like, oh, I saw something about it. It's supposed to be a good movie. And we watched it. I was like... I remember my mom and I going, oh my god. And we're sitting there going, is it good because we didn't know what it was about, or is it just a good movie? On second watch, it's just a good movie.
Yeah. I didn't see it 2 times like you did. I only saw it the once. And I thought...
Oh. Someone outside of our doors making noises.
Yeah, quiet.
Shh.
Well, anywho, when we started the movie, I had no expectations for it.
So what's the movie about? Like, tell them what the summary...
No.
No, the summary on the DVD. What was it again?
Oh, I hate it when you turn the tables on me. Oh, I hate when this happens. So, it's like Interview with the Vampire. Instead of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt being super sexy...
That's not what the movie said it was about, though. Read the description on, like, the internet.
No, I gotta do this off the top of my head. Instead of Interview with the Vampire, where it's super sexy vampires, we just get 5 vampires living in one house.
In New Zealand.
In New Zealand. And they're all trying to live their normal day lives. And hilarity ensues. We got Peter, Vladislav, Deacon, and
Viago.
Viago. I completely forgot the Taka Waititi.
The guy who wrote it and directed it?
Yeah, who, fun fact, made Thor Ragnarok. Seeing how Thor Ragnarok was and how funny it was, I was like, oh, so what? This is something he's done before. I heard.
No, but you didn't. You only knew that when no, because I remember we were going through Amazon. And I was like, oh, do you want to watch this movie? And you went, it looks dumb. Then you saw that it was Wakwada Wakiti. Wakwada.
Wada Wahidi.
Wada Wakiti.
Taka Waititi.
Taka Waititi. And you're like, oh, actually, he's a good director. He did Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, I'll watch it. That wasn't racist.
Nah. Sakura Matata over here.
What's his name again? Makito Watara? I assume that's wrong.
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
New Zealand name, New Zealand last name. Mr. New Zealand himself.
Oh, he's from New Zealand.
But seeing, like, these characters try to live their normal day lives.
Night lives.
Yeah, I can't say day because they don't come out during the day. Was really funny because they're all, like, trying to be hip and with the times, but they're so old vampires.
Is he going to sleep?
Yeah, he's going to
So
sleep. There's such old vampires and so lost in their ways. One of my favorite scenes was when they're trying to get dressed and they can't see themselves in the mirror.
So there's 4 vampires living together in a flat.
Well, 5 if you're counting.
Spoiler.
No, counting Peter.
Viago, Deacon, Václav, Peter.
Oh yeah. 4. I miscounted. Thought there were 5.
Okay, so back to the story. They're all living together and they're getting ready for the night out. And Viago, who's kind of the, I guess, main voice of the show, of the movie, right? Look what the fuck he did to my sweater. He's explaining that it's very hard to get ready to go out when you don't have a reflection. So they all give each other opinions. They draw what the other person looks like so they can see how good or bad their outfits are. Oh.
But I didn't think this movie was going to be that funny. I thought it was just going to be like a hee hee ha ha. And like, I thought it was going to be lesser than Thor Ragnarok.
Turn down your headphones, I can hear them.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be lesser than Thor Ragnarok. And,
not as good as Thor Ragnarok?
Like, comedy-wise. I thought it was going to be less because it's this earlier movie.
This reminds me a lot of kind of like Parks and Rec, in that the humor, like, they're not telling jokes. It's just funny because of how they do things. It's just like pure funny. Like, there's even like a fight scene and it's not funny like contextually.
Yeah.
But it's funny the way they did it because they were so committed to the fact of, we're vampires, how would a vampire react in this situation? That it was like hyperbole, and that's what made it funny. And so like the jokes weren't gross or crass. It was just, how would vampires living in the world react? They didn't like make them less vampiristic or anything like that.
Yeah.
They literally just stick to, Howard? Hey, dude, it seemed like these 2 guys who wrote it together came up to each other and were like, dude, what do you think would happen if 4 vampires lived together in an apartment? Or a house? What do you think that'd be like? And they just sit there going, yeah, and they're getting ready for a ball, and they're being filmed, so they have to explain their lives. Well, what do you think that would look like? Like, that's just like, it, I don't know.
And them being so ancient, them getting so lost in, like, each century they were a part of. Mm-hmm. Or each, like, Peter is the oldest one.
He's like 8,000 years old.
And he's the one that turned most of them into vampires.
No, he turned one of them into a vampire.
He turned Deacon into a vampire, right?
Was it Deacon? Or was it Flansaw? No, I think it was Deacon. Yeah, you're right.
And I think they hint that Viago was also turned by him too, but it's but Peter being this ancient vampire is so not degraded, but like so de-evolved. He's just more of an animal than anything.
He's not even human anymore. Yeah.
And then like Deacon's just like trying to be like the cool bad boy. Viago is like still stuck like in I think.
Was it 17th century? So he's still like a gentleman. He's like all proper.
It's like he just came right out of the like artistic renaissance. And then you got Vlad, like I like to call like knockoff Vlad the Impaler.
I think he's supposed to be knockoff Vlad the Impaler.
And he's like, oh yeah, I love to torture people and everything, blah blah blah. And he's like way back when, and he even has rocking like the Vlad the Impaler mustache. And then we get introduced to how they feed, and they have to lure people in their house, or they have to hunt, and like they can't even get into nightclubs without even getting permission and stuff. It's like they follow the old vampire rules.
No, I really like that they followed the old vampire rules, because it's like everyone's like, oh, it'd be so cool to be a vampire, but then you go take these rules and put them in modern society, like it'd be so hard to be a vampire if you weren't heartless.
Yeah.
And I think the whole point of this is that they're like, no, they're still good people. They can still care about people.
It's just, this is now what they have to do.
Yeah. Oh, it was a good movie. Everything about it was good. Like, going back to, like, our big problem with the last film that we watched, Atomic Blonde, was that they were too stylistic. And that's the same problem I had with Baby Driver, right?
Yeah.
This was just...
Even, before, I don't mean to interrupt you,
He's
but...
interrupting me, though, so...
I even think this is super stylistic, but it's not oversaturated.
But
with
that's what I was
colors
gonna say. It's stylistic because it's filmed very much in a documentary format. The costuming was really cool. Like, everything was very nice, but they didn't do things for the sake of art that took away from the plot. Everything was still easy to follow. The characters understood. You, as the audience, understood what the characters were doing, why they were doing it, and it fit in a logical sequence. And I don't know. I'm getting really tired of these films that are so artsy-fartsy that you can't fucking understand what the hell is going on. And this movie was really cool, really artistic, a new idea, besides Anne Rice, but a new idea, very cool, but the directors made very smart choices so that the film was unique and original, but still palatable to people wanting to watch it. That's all I want to say.
No, I definitely agree. I think he has a very strong finger on the pulse when it comes down to...
Wakata Wahidi?
Yeah. When it comes down to getting his story across and trying to make you laugh and... like you were saying earlier that it took them forever to film this movie.
Yeah, I think when I looked it up, it said it took them like 6 years or something just to write the script because the two co-writers would do it like one line at a time via email that they sent maybe once every month.
Yeah.
Like, they really like let it marinate and really thought about how to go about this.
Yeah, because like each character is super fleshed out.
Yeah.
And the world around them is fleshed out. It's like not only that there's vampires, there's other creatures out there. There's werewolves, there's your zombies, ghosts, whatever. Like, they all exist. It's just now they're all trying to integrate into modern life and modern society. And it's so crazy. Like, going to... should we go into spoilers?
Sure.
When they introduced the two people into their house, Nick and I forget the girl's name.
The familiar. She's a familiar, right?
No, not the familiar. The one that they brought in to eat.
Oh, I don't even think we remember her. Let's call her Stephanie, because
Yeah.
she don't matter, guys.
And then they all tell... like, they all like to do the spaghetti joke and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, have a plate of spaghetti. And I think that's how they say it, too. And they eat it, and it's, like, super cold. It came from, like, a Chef Boyardee can. He's like, ugh. It's like... how do you like your worms? And he's like, oh, it's
and then
gross.
they're doing the mind tricks.
And then we see Viago, like, they talk about Viago being able to shapeshift, which by far was...
It's not Viago. It's Vladislav.
Vladislav. Like,
let's call him Vladimir 2.0. No, let's call him Vladimir 0.5.
0.5. He deserves this. He deserves half of it. When we see Vlad 0.5, like, they talk about, like, yeah, he used to shapeshift. He used to be the super...
And then something happened with him and someone who shall be unnamed. And now he can't shapeshift. He can shapeshift, but the faces are always
all
wrong.
fucked up. And, like, when they're chasing Nick, and you see Vlad 0.5 just, like, chilling as a black cat, and you see Vlad's face on the black cat. And it's, like, superimposed. It's not even a cat face that looks like it. It's literally his face on a black cat's body. It's just like, it's so stupid. I loved it. Oh, man. And then, like, Nick becomes the new vampire, because they didn't kill him.
Peter didn't kill him.
Yeah, Peter didn't kill him. And he survived, and he becomes this new cool vampire, and he's like running.
He's not even cool. He's just young and knows how things work in this society, so he's able to teach them.
Yeah.
And so they're like, "Oh, you're the definition of cool." But he's like, I mean, not really. I mean, just, you know, you don't have to ask to go into a bar. Look, I know this guy. I'll ask him. Like, he'll get let us in.
And he just like sells, like, not sells out, but he continually talks about his vampirism. He's like, yeah, I'm a vampire. Yeah, I'm a vampire. Yeah, like Twilight, vampire. Yeah, yeah, I'm a vampire. And that gets the gang in trouble because
You're really doing a shot-by-shot repeat of this, aren't you?
it's so fun because like every shot has something like cool.
I actually have a question because you said that this film's still very stylistic. Can you describe to me how it is uniquely Wakata Wakiti or Takiti Wakata?
So, Taka Waititi, he likes to use people from New Zealand and Australia in his movies, from what I've learned. And he puts a lot of New Zealand and Australia things in the background. Australian things in the background and within shooting. At the same time, this movie, like if we're going like visually stylistic, everything's super dark, very gothic, very Victorian, and very like it's supposed to be a documentary, but everything has this Victorian feel to it. Even when they're outside walking in the park.
Yeah, because everything's dark. There's no lights. There's small amounts of street lights.
There's never a shot that took place during the day.
Except with the familiar there were.
Yeah, and that was one shot.
When she was driving the car.
But everything, every house looked like it came like ripped right out of not the 1600s, but like 2 decades before.
Mm-hmm. Check it. You gotta keep an eye on the camera because they'll stop. You know, pay attention.
But everything had this gothic style to it.
Mm-hmm.
And as we progress through the movie, things start to lighten up and start to become more modern with the introduction of Nick.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, even though Atomic Blonde, the last movie we reviewed, was super stylistic and like this blue-hued, awkwardly neon bullshit, they went the opposite route, but they made it fit the world. Instead of like where in Atomic Blonde, it didn't fit the world. It just felt like a weird neon blue backdrop that you put on everything, like a film.
But this is my difference though. You know, like, I guess my thing is the difference between, like, okay, like there's choices. Every director makes choices.
Yeah.
Set, costuming, delegation, whatever. But I don't know. I think I'm having a difficult time articulating this, but it's like deciding to use filters or deciding to do things to music like they did in Baby Driver or The Hunger Games, which is very, very quiet films. Some of the decisions they make are almost like, I don't even think of them as stylistic because they so seamlessly blend into the background that you don't even notice them all the time. But the things like blue filter, rhythm in the music, or something that's so jarring, that I think more of almost a stylistic point because it's something that my eye goes to right away consciously. So, there's these unconscious decisions that the directors make that, like, the way they time the music, the way the character's costuming changes slightly as the character changes. Those are things that maybe the audience might not pick up in their first, second, or even third movie, or until maybe someone tells them to watch it and look for that particularly. And then there's other choices that they make that the audience has no choice but to notice and to either accept, and then, the brain processes it so that you no longer keep noticing it, you just kind of blend seamlessly into the film, or something that you hate and you can't ignore and that ruins the film for you. And so there's like these unconscious and conscious choices. So I think I'm starting to like, kind of in this metaphor that I'm creating, these films that are much more subtle with these unconscious decisions where they're not yelling at the audience, "I'm blue!" Instead they're going, I'm going to put subtle architecture or something into the thing. Something that adds to it without you even realizing it, you're adding to it.
Yeah.
Or something instead of taking away. Like, take Game of Thrones, which is shot beautifully.
Yeah.
And you could say, that's super stylistic. They made every country's different. All the costuming in every country is different. They've taken the weather, how everything would be. And it's all beautiful. But it doesn't fundamentally take away to anything that's happening in the show. It actually adds to it. Because, yeah, you can see these beautiful towers are, and you can see what they're fighting for and all this crap. And it adds to it. It doesn't take away from it. But, like, I have never been able to watch those movies, whatever the ones you told me about. They're gray, and then they have the red splattering color for some reason.
Oh, like the Sin Cities.
Yeah, I was never able to get into that because it was so jarring for me to watch it. Because it's not even black and white either.
Yeah. It's
not black and white. It's like a high contrast thing that they're doing because black and white doesn't look that way either. So it was, I don't know. I'm really starting to dig these films that are much more subtle with their approaches. And much more concrete storytelling, much more concrete characters. So I really like this film because these characters are fun. Like you said, they're well thought out. But the whole movie itself is funny.
Yeah.
And good and plot driven, and the audience can follow it. And I never realized before how difficult apparently that is for people to write.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these big blockbuster movies are not that good.
Because blockbuster movies are meant to generate cash. It's not meant to keep you enthralled.
Yeah.
It's like what you get the cool, and by the end of the movie you're like, oh, all I remember was cool. But when you go back at it and try to actually digest it and chew on it, there's nothing there. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, you just did cool shit for cool shit's sake.
Yeah.
And I think this one is one of those movies where you can actually chew on this, and you're like, oh, this is actually really funny, and it's like quick, like really planned out correctly.
Yeah, and you can even go back and rewatch it and look for jokes that you didn't get the first time, or look at the subtle things they did, like you were saying with the costuming and the architecture in the background. Yeah. Now I want to rewatch it and pay attention to the architecture, like you were saying, because I was so enthralled by the characters, I didn't notice that. But you're right, everything did feel kind of dated.
Yeah.
The way the people dressed, everything.
So guys, that was our review of...
Oh, it's been 30 minutes already?
Yeah, we're like 5 minutes away from the end.
Wow.
So guys, tell us what you thought of What We Do in the Shadows. We enjoy this movie. Go watch this movie.
Yeah, it's really good. It's on Amazon Prime.
And it's now on Netflix, I believe.
Oh, and it's on Netflix. Yeah. So
you can easily pick it up and watch it. It's What We Do in the Shadows. Made in 2014, Taika Waititi. It's super cool. Yeah. Also, like and subscribe on YouTube at Super Fun Pack, on Facebook at Super Fun Pack. Check us out on Twitter at Super Fun Pack, and check out our website at www.superfunpack.com for all the latest content. And Chris is going to do a plug for our friend Trevor. We're going to keep plugging him, guys. Plug. Trevor's fight is on April 14th. At the Plymouth Memorial Hall down in Plymouth, Massachusetts. If you couldn't guess that. You can come down, support him for his upcoming fight. He's actually going for the amateur championship title against Marty Navis. So I'm going to be there. Jennifer's going to be there. We're actually going to be like talking, hanging out. We love watching fights. We love MMA. We like practicing our martial arts as well. We're going to be putting up more videos constantly and more consistently. And that little poop machine. That little poop machine is throwing us off schedule. 3 times, 4 times. Oh, he's sneezing a lot. He's allergic to the light. Bye.